So, welcome back to the podcast, Ross Miller. How are you, Rossi? Well,
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me again. It's been a while since I've been on, but yeah, nice, lovely to be back.
it has been a while since I think the last we were chatting to you was at the Trad Awards. That says how long ago it
Oh,
was. Yeah,
yeah, would that have been the Trad Awards 2022, I think. Yeah. So
22. Yeah, so that's a good while ago now. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're actually joining us from the United States at the moment. So, yeah, tell us about that. You're actually out on tour with Chili's.
I am. I'm on tour here with the Chili Pipers. I think I'm in oh no, I know that I'm in Bloomington, Illinois.
There you go.
Right now we had a show there last night, and then I'm heading to Burlington, Iowa today.
I see. And I'm guessing the miles that you've put in over this last few weeks has been kind of crazy. The tour's been
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah, it's been pretty mad. I think this is the first time, certainly in my time in the band, but also in about 10 years, I think, for the band is we're traveling basically from east to west. So we started in Rahway, New Jersey at the beginning of March, and we finish in LA at the beginning of May. So it's a pretty monster trip.
That's kind of grueling, though. Do you know, like that? For full disclosure, we're recording this, and I just checked the time with you. It's 6 a.m. in the morning where you are, right? So
It is, yes.
that's crazy. I don't know. It's one of those things that touring can be very, very difficult for all musicians. But I have to ask, touring as a bagpiper is bound to have its own set of challenges.
Yeah, I think actually we were just talking about this yesterday. I had to change my reeds and or my chance of reading everything and we always travel with a couple of different chances just as backups and things, as you know, things can go wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to change to my just because it felt like I play my pipes every day basically for over a month, and my reed
Mm,
was just getting that kind of like way. So
yeah.
I put my spare in last night, and it was much better. I was able to kind of lean in a bit to that. So yeah, it's the things you don't think of, the roving repairs on the go, I
There
guess.
you go. You can't just nip up the road now and get a new water trap or something. It's you have to bring it all with you, I guess. So yeah, very difficult situations. But how have you found the crowds then in the US? Do you find that they're receptive to the Chili's?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm relatively new to the band. This is only my kind of second year of doing it kind of full time, but I've primarily been in the Coast and the Midwest. Certainly when we've been in America, and yeah, it's great. There's kind of old stomping grounds where the band's been coming for years and years, and there's local pipe bands that know the show probably better than I do. At times when they come in and play with us, but yeah, no, it's really good, and yeah, it's nice to see so many different places. Although this is my second time, as I say, and we've been visiting far more new places than I maybe expected as well, which is great.
Ah, see, good stuff. Taking it to pastures new is always good. There you go. Right. Well, there is a good reason I'm catching up with you because Ross, you've been really busy this last while. Not only are you currently on tour at the moment, but you're releasing some new music. Tell us about this. What have you just been back in the studio churning out new tunes?
Yeah, well, I think it was just in December there we've got into the studio to create a couple of new singles. The first one came out at the end of February. It was called The Dedication Jigs. And
Yeah.
then recently, last Friday, a week ago today, I
Mhm.
released the second one, which was called the Wrestle Rig Reels. Notice that I didn't pronounce the T in Wrestle Rig because since I've I don't know, recorded the content, if you like, for the thing, I've since found out that it's Wrestle Rig, not Restal Rig.
Ah,
The
well,
T
I've
is
been
silent.
pronouncing it
So I
wrong
was
too. Then.
yeah, well, yeah, me too. I was told by a reliable source from Leith in Edinburgh, so that's
Right.
I think it's definitely Wrestle Rig. Someone even commented on one of my TikToks saying, "By the way, the T's silent," and by that point, it's far too late. So
Hey, hey, you're not alone in that regard. Then I've been pronouncing that wrong for since it was released. There you go. But it's that exciting to see some new music from you because I think the Roke was like early 2020s, wasn't it? How long ago was the
yeah,
Roke now?
yeah, it's over 4 years, I guess, from now. Yeah, so
Wow.
and
Yeah.
then we had I had a single in between that and a
Mm.
tune book as well. So I've had bits and bobs, or in fact a couple of singles, and then yeah, but this is a kind of new band, new direction, slightly kind of more I don't know poppy sound if you like.
Yeah.
It's just a bit it's a bit kind of fresh and different.
I was going to
But still,
say
it's still me playing the bagpipes.
that's it. Essentially, that's it at its core. But I have to say, you can hear those influences coming in there. You know, it's bits of pop and rock and stuff kind of mixing its way through. As you say, it does sound very modern. Was that the approach, really, whenever you were writing these tunes?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think I've written out of the five tunes on the across these two singles, I wrote three of them. And then Ali Henderson, the pipe sergeant of Inverary, he wrote the Wrestle Rig Reel one, the one with the controversial title,
Yeah.
and then it's like a kind of more traditional bass. So it's a Kate Breton tune. It's a John Marsh Rankin tune. It's the final tune. But
Ah,
yeah, I think when I wrote the tunes, it was more just like I've just written some tunes, and that's cool. Let's see how we can kind of accompany them and present them in a way that's a bit more modern. We changed even just things like we changed the bass from like upright double bass to an electric bass that just kind of adds that kind of edge, and then the kind of more synthesizers as well kind of thing, and then just the reference tracks, even like before the reference tracks were trad tracks. When we were mixing this time, it was the 1975 and bands like that to try and kind of get the way that the drums are sounding on these kind of records and singles and things. It's actually quite an interesting thing. I'd never really thought about that before, but if you
hmm.
do some listening on that, you can really hear the way that things are kind of presented is slightly different in these kind of
I
these
see.
different tracks as well.
I
Yeah.
know that in the 1975 are quite a popular band. To be honest, I've never listened to them because they can't play on MSR, but I'm going to have to check them out for sure. But that's interesting, though, you know, drawing influences from the popular music world, I guess, bringing it to the trad scene rather than the other way around, which has been happening for a long time now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an
No,
interesting
that's good.
approach. Yeah. So, is this the sign of things to come? I'm sure you've been asked this question a dozen times now. Will that give you the itch now to get back into the studio and possibly a new album?
I don't know. I don't know about the itch. Perhaps. I think certainly for it's obviously everything I've kind of done so far has been self-funded, so
Yeah,
it's an expensive game making music, releasing music. But
absolutely.
I'm quite enjoying the singles thing. It kind of it means that you can kind of just like I feel like this was kind of like a project. There was two together. I was calling it the singles. It was the dedication
Yes.
jigs, the wrestle rig reels. It's all kind of together. Even the photos, it's the same kind of idea of the photo with different colored jumpers for
Yeah,
the title and stuff. Just kind of trying to kind of create like a small project within that. Maybe I'll do that again. Maybe I'll try and do that every couple of years or something. But it's also a lot of a lot of work trying to kind of get it
I'm
all together
sure. Yeah,
and amongst the studio. But I just yeah, I think I really enjoy the challenge of creating new music, but also I enjoy letting people hear it and kind of releasing it and things. So there'll certainly be more. I don't know in what form that'll be. Maybe I'll get talked into an album at some point. Maybe I'll apply for some funding and get it going. But there's no immediate plans at the moment. I was just happy to get these out
no,
as
that's
well.
it. Well, we'll keep across it. If there is any plans, of course, we'll let our listeners know here for sure. So I have to ask you then. I know this is what we're just after Easter now at this point, but I have to ask you about Christmas time. Mate, those videos and stuff you've done over Christmas were just brilliant. Like, but it was, I guess that was a lot of work in itself producing some of those.
Yeah, that's a funny one. So, yeah, that started off as like kind of lockdown boredom. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like 12 days of Christmas. It'll be easy. I'll
Yeah.
just record, Christmas carols and the pipes, and I just started to kind of write down the ones that I already knew. That was in like 2020.
Hmm.
And then like so the first one I was like, I'll do Jingle Bells. Jingle Bells is easy. Everybody knows Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
So I like recorded myself playing Jingle Bells, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll add like second pipes and like, have a wee harmony. I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I did that. Second pipes. I was like, oh, I can do three-part harmony for the chorus. That'll be fine. Okay. So, and I was like, oh, do you know what? Maybe I could just like, I've not played the trombone for a while. How about I add the trombone? Okay, so we'll add the trombone and three parts of trombone. And then I was like, right, I'll do a video and I'll just not stand next to the Christmas tree. I'll do like a wee bit of theatrics and I'll play with iMovie. And then before I knew it, I had this big extravaganza. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I was like, oh no, wait a minute. I've now set a precedent. I've got to do that times 12. So I was like, okay, right, I'll do it. So I kind of committed to that. There was nothing else happening in lockdown. I was teaching online on Zoom. So
Yeah.
I basically just spent the mornings running around my flat dressed as Santa Claus, and then the afternoons teaching on Zoom. Sometimes also dressed as Santa Claus if it was, and then so people enjoyed that, and that was great. And then in 2021, people were like, "Oh, you've got to do that again." That's really... So I did it again, but I was like, right, I'm only going to do half because it's loads. I was like, okay, so I did six, and then in 2022 I did five, and I was also running out of ideas and tunes
Yeah.
as well by that point. And then but yeah, and then 20 so that was 2022. And then for 2023, I was like, right, I'm only doing one, but I'm gonna go in the studio and I'm gonna make it like actually like a thing. So I used the band from that played on my album and we recorded and released just a single on Spotify just for fun, just a wee kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it's kind of documented, in the grand scheme of music releases. It doesn't just exist on YouTube and Facebook. It exists in, I guess, if you like, the
Yeah.
real world.
That's it
But then it
indeed.
also means that it's on your Spotify profile forever. So if you shuffle my thing, if you listen to these two new singles, the next thing that comes up is the Christmas thing. So you maybe get a wee shock of sleigh bells, sleigh bells in April.
That's because that's exactly what happened to me this morning. I was thinking, I'm going to be talking to Ross later. Okay, I'll put Spotify on. I was drinking coffee. Next thing, this Christmas number come on. What the? So then it reminded me about it all. But so that's fantastic, though. Yeah. So we've been playing a lot of your music over on Fuse. I have to say, the reaction from the crowd from the last two tracks has been fantastic. So keep up the great work. You have a big audience, very keen to hear more. But right, I have to talk about your competitive work now as well, because a lot of people don't realize you are a competitive player. You did mention earlier playing with Inverarian District. How's the preparations going for this incoming season? New sets, new tunes, all ready to hit the circle?
Oh, I don't know if I can divulge that. No, no. There's at least a new medley. And I believe the first championship at Bangor is going to be medley as well. So certainly that's what
Yeah.
I've been practicing for. So that's been something different for me since joining the Chili Pipers. Is I've basically become an out of town player, even though I potentially live closest to the practice hall in Glasgow as well.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a
But
strange
as
one, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite funny. I tend to attend every practice in January and February, and then not again until May. But it's
Yeah.
it's a totally new way of be working. I know that lots of bands have had fly-ins for many years, but it's the first. I'm a twice a week guy.
Yeah.
I always have been. I've always gone out to band twice a week. But just as my kind of career's evolved and as my work's evolved, I've been fortunate enough to be allowed to continue to play in the band, or at least attempt to play in the band. Whilst yeah, and I enjoy it. We were doing a workshop in Copenhagen a couple of weeks ago. A few of the guys from the Inveraray band, and
Mm.
we got asked like, "Oh, why do you still do it? Like, why do you all still play in the band?" Because it was me and Stuart and Ali and Rory Grossart,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, the reason I still do it is because it keeps me at a highest level as possible. It forces me into
Yeah.
practicing because it could be very easy if you're doing this kind of job where pipes is your job. You can just you get to the point where you're presentable enough at the bagpipes, so I could just get away with never practicing again and just doing the gig, and I would still be fine. But playing
Yeah.
in that band really makes me want to practice, and I don't want to let anybody down, and I want to try and kind of work as hard as possible. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting home and getting stuck into the pipe bands in the summer,
There you
and
go.
some solo piping as well, hopefully. But
I'll
we'll
get
just
into
have
the
to try and
solos
see
as
how
well. Yeah.
how the schedule goes. It's pretty demanding when you're playing bagpipes all the time, and then you have to fly home and try and play in any kind of competition you can. So that's good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is quite grueling, honestly, and it does take a degree of stamina. Yeah, for sure. So I know you mentioned there about competitive piping being that impetus to kind of want you to continue to excel. And you can very much get stuck in a rut. If you learn your concert set, for example, you play your Scotland the Brave, whatever the Roundtree, all these sort of party tunes that people play at concerts and stuff, you could absolutely do that and then just sit back and say, right, I'm a piper now. I'm not doing anymore. But no, it's brilliant to see. Like a lot of the guys out at the Chili's are all competitive pipers for that reason. They continue to want to excel. So I guess that's the drive there, Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's kind of inspiring each other, and like yeah, and I guess there's such a big kind of pool of musicians that play with the Chili Pipers now that you kind of
Mm.
that yeah that we all, well, not all of us, but quite a lot of us compete against each other. We compete with each other. But that's part of the piping game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a small world, so people tend to do multiple things.
That's it. Yeah, jack of all trades. Absolutely. Well, Ross, I have to say a huge thank you for the new music. We've been really enjoying it. I say our audience has been loving it too. We've been playing it on Fuse now this last while, and everyone seems to be requesting it all the time. So stop requesting it. Don't worry, we will keep playing it. But if you are interested in checking out Ross's brand new music, go to his website, rossmillermusic.com, or you're on all the streaming services and all that as well, Ross, aren't you?
Yeah, just basically wherever you get your music, you can get the music. And I released there's a video of the first one, the dedication jigs,
Mhm.
and there will be a video this week when I eventually find some Wi-Fi and upload it to YouTube. a couple of weeks. There is a video waiting to be posted of the on YouTube of the Wrestle Rig reels as well, which is exciting. Just it adds a visual aspect. You know, it's the same,
Yeah.
but I know that people enjoy watching my kind of head movements and stuff as well.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. If anything, I think those head movements and everything, they won you that solo prize at that competition. We were there in San Francisco that year.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you won that payment competition for entertainment value. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. There you go. Well, mate, enjoy the rest of your United States tour. We wish you as well.
Oh,
And you're gigging now all the way through to the end of May. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
uh, yeah. So
Hmm.
this tour is and for the rest of April, and then
Hmm.
we've got a week off in which I'm going to go to Arizona and do a workshop with a band down there in Phoenix, and I'm going to do a
Ah,
recital in Phoenix. So if you've got any listeners from that kind of part of the world, they
yeah.
should come down and say hello. It's a kind of open to all event on the 27th of April, I think that is. And
There you
then
go.
the we kind of get back together, and we've got a weekend of gigs in Los Angeles, and then we fly home and we come straight over your way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not directly. We're coming to Cork, and then we're playing in the waterfront in Belfast,
Belfast,
and
yes.
then we're going to Galway, and then I'll be back the following week for the UK
For
Championships
the
in
UK
Bangor as well.
Championships. I don't know how you do it. Yeah. You must be loaded up on Red Bull or something.
Something I you know, just it's you've only got to work 2 hours a day in this job. It's just you've just got to sit in a van, and fortunately, somebody else drives the van, so
Yeah.
I'm kind of chill. I've got into a routine. I've been practicing. I actually wrote well certainly one of these tunes whilst I was here and stuff. So last year, so. It's
Ah, good stuff.
yeah it's good that if you could hear the voice note from that day when I was sending it to Rory, who was playing the keys on the track. You could hear the
Yeah.
voice note versus how it ended up. You would be shocked. Maybe that's a bit of content.
There you go.
But
Could be, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, dear. I think we remember talking to Fred Morrison one time, and he said he was at a traffic lights, and he just lifted his phone and goes deedle 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 deedle, and then set it back down again, and that's a tune.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's yeah. No, I love to think that, or I love that people would think that that's exactly how it happens every time. And it's not
no.
precisely sometimes, but you do sometimes get a wee. I write it in my notes on my phone. So like if it's a
Oh yeah,
crotchet, I write like a capital letter, and if it's a quaver, I do small letters.
I
Is the
see.
thing. Oh, I'm giving you a virtual thumbs up
A
there,
thumbs up.
but
There you go. Well, Ross, I would say a huge thank you, mate, for chatting with us. We'll let you get back to your very busy schedule, and hopefully we'll catch up with you on the grass, sure, in Bangor. Yeah,
yeah, hopefully we'll definitely. Oh well, hopefully we'll see you there. That'll be great.
indeed. Yeah. Take care, Ross. Thanks a million. All
No
the best.
bother. Thanks so much for having me, Rob. Cheers.